Welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a best-of-3 series of Protoss versus Zerg, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Lightshade. Spawning here in the bottom right-hand corner and playing with the red... No, that's blue Lowko. I autopiloted into... Playing with the blue Protoss probes, we're looking at Goblin's main nexus. His opponent playing with the light purple, unicorn-colored Zerg drones. We're looking at Reynor's main hatch. Okay, so... A couple of you reached out and mentioned that I should really go ahead and cast this particular best-of-3 series. And truth be told, when people recommended Goblin versus Reynor, in my mind, probably more than 9 times out of 10, Reynor wins this, right? Just because Reynor, I mean, he's the world champion of StarCraft 2, he's very good at Zerg versus Protoss, he doesn't really seem to lose a whole lot in general. The thing is, Goblin likes to play a very spicy style of Protoss. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's gonna be a couple of tricks here and there, maybe multiples. I don't actually know who ends up winning this, although, you know, if I were a betting man, which I am not, I would definitely put my money on Reynor, although, you know, there's definitely a chance that Goblin can catch him off guard with something a little bit funny. Or maybe he will just play, I don't know, man, we'll find out, we'll see. So, we have a standard opener so far. Reynor probably is gonna play relatively defensively here. In general, Zerg in his matchup likes to play very defensively, especially in the early game. So usually the goal for Zerg players is to try and saturate 3 bases as soon as possible. So they're aiming for, like, you know, 66-ish workers very quickly. Goblin, though, going for the standard opener so far. Should be going for the Cybercore. He goes for the pylon before the Cybercore. This is going to be a little bit later than what normally would happen. Okay, so... Reynor's gonna scout this. The question is, will he pick up on this, right? So what does the Zerg player see with this first Overlord? He sees what he sees every single Protoss versus Zerg. I'm assuming, though, that Reynor is on point here and immediately realizes that that Cybercore is a little bit later than it normally should be. To put this in perspective, normally if the very first Adept gets chrono boosted, it should be out at like 2:30 if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's 2:40 when it's not chrono boosted. Basically what I'm trying to get at is that it should be out. Right about right now. And it just starts. Okay. It's gonna be a instant stalker into a Stargate instead of the main base. Goblin still has gas left over. What's he doing? So second gateway goes down as well right now? He still has some gas left over. But he doesn't start up warp gates. What do you... This is gonna be double Stargate? Is that what we have? It's the only thing that makes sense. Oh, he goes +1 flyer. Okay. He goes +1 flyer in the cybernetics core as the very first upgrade. Okay. So Goblin mixing it up a little bit here. I actually didn't pay attention there, but he may have taken the second gas a little bit quicker as well than what is normal. And there comes the second Stargate. So delayed cybercore. I think it's a faster second gas, faster second pylon. Double Stargate opener with +1 flyer, but obviously without warp gates. So this means... Oh, Phoenixes. This means, I guess, that we have double Phoenix production here coming up right from the get-go? What exactly can Reynor do about this? Well, for now, he's just gonna start making a couple of drones, right? The bread and butter of Zerg is to push out a whole lot of those workers, to spread a little bit of creep, and to just try and be safe against pretty much everything that a Protoss player can throw at you. That Overlord is still over there, though. Yeah, he's scouting around right now as well for the third base. So normally with a Stargate opener, which I think Reynor is putting his opponent on right now as well. Normally with a Stargate opener, you expect the third Nexus to come up right around this time. So he's scouting around right now as well just to make sure that there's nothing, you know, leaving the main base or the natural expansion unscouted. He's got a view right now of the third base too. Reynor must be at least a little bit concerned. Roach Warren's gonna finish up. We're already at a couple of Phoenixes. So Phoenixes, they shoot like from both wings at once, right? So they like have an attack coming, like 2 little lasers coming from each side. So, you know, 1 coming out of each side, so 2 at once. What I'm trying to get at is that they actually benefit from this +1 flyer upgrade more so than most other Protoss units do, because they obviously... Actually, Interceptors have the same thing. Void Rays don't, obviously. Tempest don't either. But basically, they get +1 attack to each of the attacks, which is huge. So is he saving up Phoenixes right now? until right at this point when +1 finishes up. So +1 is actually huge on Phoenixes, especially when you're trying to lift up queens. How many spores does he have? He just starts up the first 1 second. Well, actually, he's gonna go double up right now on the spores over at the 30. He's going for one over here too. That is quite a few queens. If he would have gone for less queens here, so he's got 7. If he would have gone for a couple less, this could have actually been an absolute disaster. I think a lot of Zerg players right now would be caught with like 5 queens. Reynor, though, already playing a little bit safer than most Zerg players would. You can see, though, look at the damage increase, right? Couple extra overlords were already produced. Reynor anticipating here, losing a couple of things. This used to be more popular. Well, not the +1. Okay, look at that queen. It just gets popped instantly. This used to be a little bit more popular, mass Phoenix openers, but Zerg players got really good at dealing with it. Okay, so Reynor decides to now go for a lot of queens and a Nidus network. Usually the problem that you run into as a Zerg player against Phoenixes is that it's almost inevitable to, you know, not take damage. So you'll basically always end up taking at least some damage. Because these Phoenixes, they actually have a surprising amount of health. They're actually really quite tanky. For example, if you compare them to, say, for example, an Oracle, right? An Oracle, when it takes a Widowmine hit, it will just insta-die. Phoenixes will live. And they're just, yeah, quite powerful in general. So, third Nexus is obviously very late. It's not even up yet, 6.5 minutes into the game. Nidus network gets planted down over at the third Nexus. Roaches have been popped in first, and at this point, there's absolutely no way that Goblin knows. The thing is, I don't even really know if I like this too much, because, like, sure, the Nidus network can deal some damage, but this is still 2 base Protoss. If this would have been 3 base Protoss, I think this push makes a lot more sense. How many Phoenixes are we on right now? 16 Phoenixes versus 11 Queens, with some of them probably being back home. So he can probably start lifting them. Yeah, he goes for the high-energy Queens first. Wonder what's happening here. I think pretty much all the Queens are lifted, and then a couple of Phoenixes are trying to clean this up. Now, Graviton lift does cost a bunch of energy. There's a few Spore Crawlers here coming up as well, so Reynor wanted to go for a push, but all of the Queens have been picked up and killed. And, you know, they're dead now, so they're no longer healing each other, and, like, you know, you can't push. Obviously, Phoenixes, though, here's a couple of reinforcements. Phoenixes cannot lift up Spore Crawlers. They can't hit structures at all. So the Spore Crawlers here do make a lot of sense. It's just that Goblin has got so much damage coming out of these bad boys that, yeah, he doesn't really care too much. And the Spore Crawlers don't really kill things very quickly here either. So the lift ability does cost energy. So it's not like he can just lift up Zerglings and, you know, be fine. I mean, he can, but probably would rather not. A lot of Spore Crawlers here. This is going to be a long push. Since this is still only 2 base Protoss, though, the main base is going to run out very quickly, and Natural won't be too far behind either. Charge is coming up. He's just going to go mass Spore Crawler, and I think Reynor is planning on soft-containing his opponent inside of their own Natural. It's a lot of Zealots, though. Yeah, the Zealots walk up right now. They're not waiting for the charge upgrade to be done. They want to kill those Spore Crawlers before it really gets out of control. What a battle. You know what? I'm pretty sure Goblin is winning this. I'm a little bit concerned for when those Phoenixes go across the map. Because these Phoenixes can deal such an insane amount of damage to the mineral lines. It's just that it costs energy, and they're going to be without energy when they get back home. I wouldn't mind seeing him go across the map right now and just lifting up half a mineral line. I think that's exactly what we have. Yeah, Phoenixes are super quick. This is a cool start. At the same time, Zealots right now with charge have finished up. The Queens, though, have some transfuse energy available as well, but I think follow-ups will probably be okay. But he decides to go after the Overlords instead. It's a surprisingly successful start here. Reynor probably should have waited just a little bit maybe for those Spore Crawlers to finish up, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the builds that he hasn't seen himself before either. How many Overlords have gone down at this point? Look at the supply count. Look at this. We're at 100 out of 42. He really needs to get rid of some of these Roaches, I guess, if he wants to actually build anything. Recall being utilized right there on the Phoenixes as well. 10 of them have gone down at this point. There's really no reason for the Protoss player to engage this, but he's going to. A couple of Void Rays are now coming up as well, which I actually really like. Because if, say, hypothetically speaking, those Phoenixes will not be able to live through all of this Spore Crawler shenanigans. Void Rays are still going to be quite good at keeping roaches, you know, at bay. That usually would try to pop into the natural expansion. Phoenixes once again go across. Oh, little bit of miscontrol. That's really like the first time we've seen some miscontrol right here by the Protoss. Here we go. The Nidus network has been cleaned up. Well, one of them anyway. The Spore Crawlers are also gone. At this point, Goblin is in a really good position. The only problem is that as this game progresses, assuming it progresses for like another 10 minutes, Phoenixes kind of lose their effectiveness. Because when the Zerg armies grow, at some point the Phoenixes usually just get popped in a matter of seconds, right? So I think it's probably in Goblin's best interest here to try and keep this aggression going, or start playing a little bit more aggressively and trade those units out for maybe other units. Anyways, he's only made a couple of Void Rays. Goes straight back into, once again, that Phoenix production. So income-wise, you would imagine this is an advantage right now for Reynor, but yeah, it's not like Reynor has got that much economy here himself. He's been on 3 bases, true. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah. He's been forced to spend so much money on things that don't really serve that much of a purpose here going forward. Like those Spore Crawlers obviously are nice at keeping those units at bay, but it's not like you're going to be able to use those to go across the map. Well, I mean, you theoretically could, but it's very difficult to pull off. And as soon as you leave, oh my god, this is so much damage. I love Phoenix openers, man. I love Phoenix openers in all matchups. I'm a sucker for Phoenixes, what can I tell you? They're fun. They're also surprisingly uncommon, but you can see that, well, the world champ right here made a judgment call to go for the Nidus network, and it turns out it wasn't the right call. Alright, so cost efficiency-wise, twice as many minerals are lost right here for the Italian Zerg. He's gonna go for Infestors right now. Couple Corrosive Biles as well. I am starting to be concerned for the Overlord situation, man. How many OVs have gone down? 30! 30 Overlords have gone down! Right now, we have the Fleet Beacon also coming up. I wouldn't even mind seeing him go for the ranged upgrade for the Phoenixes, right? I think with this many, it's a great idea. So there's an upgrade in the Fleet Beacon called the Anion Pulse Crystals that gives Goblin +2 ranged on the Phoenixes. I believe it's +2. Could be +3. No, I'm pretty sure it's +2. Anyways, it basically makes the beam a nice purplish, pinkish color. And it's scary. Because you can imagine how many of those units will get picked up with that little change. He's definitely looking for a fungal! Oof. Fungal growth into corrosive bile would be something. That would be one way of coming back. I'm gonna do the caster thing, but if anyone can do it, Reynor is the guy. I think in a straight-up macro game, Reynor's probably gonna be favored. 99 out of 100 times. There's the Pulse Crystals upgrade. There it is. Yeah, Fleet Beacon is not even that expensive here. I mean, it's not cheap, but if you have this many Phoenixes, it seems like a no-brainer. Because Phoenixes are really good at forcing the Zerg player to stay home. Right? Because as soon as you leave, mineral lines are gone. Well, apparently you don't even need to leave for your mineral line to be gone. Yeah, it's strong. It's really powerful. So obviously you can also go into carriers if you want to, right? If you're Goblin. I mean, you really need some more gas. He's even got Sonic Storm here. Interesting. So he's gone for High Templar. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, Reynor is going for both Infestors as well as Queens, and then also now Vipers. This is a very micro-heavy army, but it's very, very powerful. If you can make it happen, that is. Feedback is obviously pretty good against it, though. So I wouldn't be surprised here if we see a couple more High Templar. I think 6 or so would be good. He's got 5 right now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 5's pretty good, too. Alright. Reynor actually still in this, which is quite surprising. Reminds me a little bit of that game that I casted between Zest and Dark last week. I believe it was last week. Where, I guess small spoiler alert. I'll go ahead and post a link to it down below. But in that game, it felt to me like Dark should have been dead. about 12 times. And for some reason, he kept on not dying. Reynor so far showing a lot of resilience as well. He's now even been able to secure a 4th. 3rd Nexus was very late, so Goblin doesn't have really that much economy here. My god, once again, the Phoenixes find a mineral line. You blink twice, it's gone. You use Burrow to keep at least some of them alive, which I quite like. Dude, the Burrow is actually so funny here, yeah. I thought Burrow was only for the Infestors, but he just saved himself like 10 workers. Burrowing the units. It's actually one of those things where you wonder why doesn't this happen more often, right? Burrow is actually really quite powerful. Alright. So what exactly is Reynor looking for? Well, he's probably looking for either a fungal growth into corrosive bile, or fungal growth into parasitic bomb, which is a spell right here from the Vipers. So that's a wombo combo. Or, and this is something not to be underestimated, he can go for Neural Parasite. Neural Parasite allows you to temporarily take control of the opposing player's units. So each of the interfestors, sure. Here's the parasitic bomb, there's the fungal growth. Ooh, he decides to recall? Okay. Dangerous recall, but it's gonna happen. Yeah, I don't know if I like that too much. So, that was really... Okay, 32 Phoenixes go down. That's really unfortunate right here for Goblin. Neural Parasite, what I was trying to say is that every single one of these Infestors can take control of an enemy Protoss unit relatively easily. For a short amount of time. Since there's not going to be that much here that Goblin can do about it. I mean, he can feed back the units. He can obviously try and storm them. He can just try and kill them as well, one at a time. He can try and pick up there's options. But once the carriers are neuraled, it's very difficult for the Protoss player to actually, make it disappear. Usually, they end up storming like crazy and crossing their fingers, hoping that, you know, the units that are using the Neural Parasite get killed. He's actually maxed out right now, Reynor, that is. Ooh, he's trying. He wanted to pick up a couple Infestors, but it didn't happen. Okay. So, Air Weapons level 2 only just now finishing up. Maybe a little bit late on that one. +3 ground is also finishing up soon, though. And he does have 4 base eco at this point. Hydralisk then comes up. I mean, he can also go for Microbial Shroud, I suppose. On Hydras, it's not a bad idea. I think Roddy. Team Roddy's Goblin, there you go. I mean, he's playing Mass Phoenixes. May as well have been Roddy, but he's decided to now go for quite a few Immortals here, too. I don't know if I guess the Immortals are really good against the Roaches and Ravagers. They're gonna suck against Phoenixes. They're gonna suck right here against Hydras, though. Oh god, okay. Feedbacks came up right away. Parasitic bombs have already been used. A lot of drones end up going down because Zealots right now are over at the 4th base as well. Reynor was just about to make himself up for a push across the map, and instead, he all of a sudden finds the Protoss player right here at his front door. The Zealots clean up the base. The main army cleans up the rest. He's gonna need some fungals or neural parasites or something. Well, there goes some massive neural parasites. Corrosive biles is a follow-up as well. Storms on top of all of the Infestors, though. Is there enough anti-air to right now clean this up? Hydras obviously don't have any upgrades. At least the Roaches and Ravagers are going to be able to get rid of the ground army. Carrier actually gets corrosive biled down. That's not really what you want. Void Ray right there, also neuraled. Who's now actually winning this fight? I don't know. At this point, it may very well become an economy game, though. And normally, in these scenarios, it's the Zerg player that has more eco. But in this particular case, it seems to be the Protoss player. There's a couple of storms available at home as well, I think, when this army finally manages to get across. There's some Infestors available, but I'm a little bit concerned for when these additional carriers pop, right? I mean, there's no anti-air in the Zerg army other than corrosive biles. As long as Goblin manages to defend this push, I think he will be fine. G is cold. Just a single G. And with that, Goblin wins game number 1. Alright, so, game number 2. We find ourselves on 2,000 atmospheres. Not gonna lie, that was a cheeky little game there by Goblin, right? Reynor decided to go for the Nidus network response. I don't know if it was because of the fact that there were just too many Phoenixes out at that stage in the game already, that the Queens just couldn't come out in plentiful numbers. Or if it's because he popped out the queens a little bit too early and the spore crawlers weren't done yet, right? Or if it's due to the fact that like 1 or 2 of those queens ended up dying before the Nidus network even came across the map. I remember at least one of the queens, if I'm not mistaken, in the main base that got picked up, and maybe there was a second one at some point as well. Either way, Goblin ended up holding on there, and even though Reynor managed to play an impressive game after that, pretty sure a lot of players would have already lost the game at like 8 minutes, he still managed to max out, and that fight at the end was still, yeah, relatively close. Goblin was still the one that came out ahead. Okay, so what build is this guy playing? So he's going pylon on the low ground, gateway, gases. So normally what we see is 20 Nexus, 20 Cybercore, pylon and gas as a follow-up. So I'm a little bit... Maybe this is like a new thing, though. I'm not 100% sure. He's going to go, I think, for the Cybercore here eventually. So there's the Nexus at 22. He's only got, like, basically the probes for 1 gas, though, right? So it's 1 and 2. Then he goes for the pylon here. Yeah, so Goblin's definitely playing a little bit strangely. So normally... Unless this like very recently changed, normally we see 14 pylon on the low ground, right? You chrono the main nexus, then you go gateway at like 16, 17 gas geyser, cybercore and nexus at 20. So it kind of depends on whether or not you've seen a 12 pool, right? So if you see a 12 pool, usually you delay obviously the nexus. But you know, if everything is normal, you see hatch gas pool, you go 20 nexus, 20 cybercore. You go for the 21 gas, 22 pylon, if I'm not mistaken, right? Am I crazy? Anyways, Goblin once again going for something a little bit funky. This time around, yeah, Reynor is just gonna go straight into the main. He didn't even go check the natural. Alright, sees the Stargate once again coming up. It is gonna once more be a queen, or sorry, a stalker once again as well, but... Now there's gonna be the warp gate upgrade. Ugh. Warp gate. Lame, boring, stupid, don't like it. Now he's gonna be able to get the Overlord to safety though. Wouldn't even have minded seeing those Zerglings maybe going across the map. But Reynor, maybe he's figured something out, right? So there's a so-called reason why there's a standard in StarCraft, or there's a so-called standard in StarCraft 2, and there's a reason why that is the standard. It's because usually when you deviate from the standard, you're gonna be weaker, and therefore you can be, you know, attacked. So if Reynor figures out something here that works out, I wouldn't be surprised at all that he's gonna be able to punish his opponent. So Overlord goes back in right now. It sees that there is indeed another one of those Void Rays coming up. Not a Phoenix first, but a Void Ray, so this seems a little bit more conventional. If this Void Ray is gonna be leveraged to grab a quick third Nexus... I think Reynor is probably going to pounce on it. It just makes the most sense. Because this is now... Oof, that's such a quick third Nexus. That was like 345. Warp Gate is obviously going to be quite late here. It's not like Protoss is going to have that many units. It's just going to be a single Void Ray straight into an Oracle. I think if Reynor wants to, he could definitely go for a queen push. He already has 5 queens out. He goes for an Evo chamber here instead. Okay. I have seen some funky follow-ups with really quick blink. Where they go for like a really quick blink upgrade. And that surprisingly works really quite well against those queen-based pushes. Or at the very least it worked well against me. Maybe I just suck though. That could definitely be the case. Maybe Reynor obviously can make it work. Either way, he's going +1 melee. +1 melee and Baneling Nest. Interesting. I mean, I thought Reynor was going to try and exploit a weakness here in Goblin's armor, I guess. And maybe he will. Oh, ooh, gets the... Oh, no, he gets... Oh, he doesn't get it? All right. Maybe he will exploit a weakness right here in Goblin's defense, but... Oh my god, he's going... Dude, this guy's playing some crazy StarCraft. He's inviting a queen push here. So he's going charged and 10 gateways. Charging 10 gateways, that's nuts. He's actually only got... He's got no gas income. He's got no gas. Yeah, if this would have been a queen push, which I would have done here if I was Reynor, this would have been dead. This would have been dead Zerg. So he's going for a prism right now and mass gateways. He's only got 44 probes, which normally is just enough to saturate 2 bases. But in this case, 2 of the gases in the natural aren't even acquired. Okay, so does Reynor have enough to defend against this, though? +1 melee is going to finish up pretty soon. Keep in mind, melee doesn't just benefit the Zerglings, but also the Banelings. Even though they can only attack once, they will deal more damage. Okay, he sees the Zealots right now. He sees Charge finishing up, too. He's going to need a lot of units to deal with this. He's transfusing cocoons. He's transfusing Baneling cocoons. I kind of like it. Roaches are available right now, too. Queen's under a lot of pressure. But I think the reinforcing Zerglings right now, yeah, they're going to be able to clean this up. Goblin wanted to go for another cheeky move, but Reynor easily held. Alrighty, so final map in his best-of-3 series will be Jagannatha. I'm going to pay attention here to the Protoss player, if you don't mind. What exactly is this man doing? 14 pylon, yes. Chrono main nexus after the pylon finishes. There you go, 16 gateway or so on the low ground. I don't play that much Protoss recently, but that should be the way to play this. Okay, so pylon finishes, chrono, yes. Gateway on the low ground at 16. There you go. Then normally it's 17 gas, 20 nexus, 20 cybercore. Yes, 17 gas. He's rallying now the future probes. Well, probably after this one. To the gas geyser. And then it's 20 nexus, 20 cybercore. So the reason why you want to go for a probe scout here is just to make sure you don't die to a 12 pool. 12 pools are still quite common. So Goblin gets into the main base right now. He's going to figure out, okay, it's just a standard hatch gas pool. So then you can go for the 20 nexus. Usually you cut workers there for a little bit as Protoss. So right now he's at 20. He goes Forge! Okay, never mind. Goblin. He's gonna try and go for a cannon rush. There's no nexus. There's nothing. Yeah, Reynor right now is a little bit concerned as well. That probe was sticking around for a little bit too long. Gas gets cancelled. He's created a little nuke over here, though. And there you go. How are you gonna get in, Reynor? Well, first off, apparently you gotta soften up that pylon. It's gonna take a long time, though, for these units to be able to go through this. Hatchery is gonna... Or sorry, spawning pool is gonna finish up, and I guess the hatchery will as well. Photon cannon here in the middle of things. The probe just glitched its way out of there. If Zerglings can... So that one's never gonna finish. If Zerglings can come out, they're gonna obviously be able to kill these structures very easily. This is a ton of lost mining time. And if the photon cannon finishes, which it will... Oh, no perfect wall off this time around. If the photon cannon finishes, he gets the probe. How many kills will he get? There's only a single probe here, so this is like very low commitment in a way. I would say most of the time, if you go for a cannon rush, you want to send at least 2 probes. So maybe Goblin right here was feeling like he could just handle it with just 1. But it turns out Reynor's early game control is pretty good. And he manages to shut this one down. Alright, yeah, so for those of you that struggle against cannon rush, just play like Reynor, dude. Just play like Reynor. Just you know, take out your notebook and write it down. Against cannon rush, play like Reynor. Perfect. Okay, you got it. I don't really expect these Zerglings to be able to get too much done on the other side of the map. There's probably going to be a photon cannon over here for defense, right? Ooh, it's a Stargate instead. Well, you know what? I say that. The Cybercore is looking juicy. Stalker comes up as well. Yeah. Cybercore is looking very exposed. I guess the Zealot can try and get in. Stalker's gonna finish up, but this is still gonna put a little bit of pressure on Goblin, right? It's very scary. You can see he's cutting a worker here. Forced to cancel that again. Not a huge deal, but if you have those Zerglings out, you may as well try and get some work done. Alright, so unsurprisingly, it's gonna be a Stargate follow-up. Pretty sure cannon rushers always follow up with Stargate. Or with Dark Templar, I suppose, but Pretty much always Stargate. And once again, look at that. No Warp Gate upgrade. He's going straight into the +1 flyer. This time around, though, very different dynamic than the first game. Assuming Reynor picks up on this, he should be able to just, you know, play a game with an advantage, right? Game number 1, he was kind of caught off guard a little bit. It was a funky start there by Goblin. He found himself behind, and he had to crawl himself back into it. In this particular game, I'm pretty sure he's going to find himself at an advantage at this point in the game. He can do whatever he likes. He's going to do a follow-up scout right now as well to confirm exactly what's happening. Double gas, by the way, has been taken here by Goblin, so no cheeky 10 Gateway Zealot as a follow-up. Link speed is very late, but obviously Warp Gate would be very late as well, so it's not like he would necessarily need it. Void Rays do obviously still benefit from the +1 flyer upgrades. I mentioned this because Oracles, for example, do not. Because Oracles are considered to be spellcasters. Spellcasters do not benefit from upgrades like that, so... yeah, even though you have the Prismatic Alignment ability, that only affects as like a multiplier on the existing damage versus armored units. Unsurprisingly, Reynor is just gonna play super drone heavy. He's playing safe though. Like this is Reynor going for like, you know, the safest opener he can find. He's now going for the Overlord speed upgrade as well before a lair. The only thing I guess that could catch him off guard here would be Dark Templar, so... He's got a few Spore Crawlers as well. I don't think he's too concerned about it. Wouldn't be surprised though if he goes lair soon, and then also maybe even a third Spore Crawler in the natural. Although even if he gets caught off, his panic mode is pretty good. His crisis management is not bad at all. So Link speed is going to finish. Void Rays are ambitiously moving across the map. I'm a little bit concerned for this third Nexus. I don't think that Nexus is gonna live. Yeah. No, this is a disaster. Void Rays have to now go all the way back home. And this is where you can leverage the advantage, right? As a Zerg player. Just a handful of Zerglings like this? Well, obviously this is not a handful. This is quite a lot. He's actually making a couple more. He's got 26 Zerglings out at this point. They're gonna be able to deny this for a long time. You know how they say, like, the best defense is the offense? Well, the best way to get these Void Rays to stay at home is by having Zerglings on their side of the map. Fleet Beacon comes up again. It's going to be a lair here as a follow-up for Reynor. But already he's sitting at 3 base saturation. Is he going to go 4th? Is he going to go Hydras? Is he going to go +1 missile? What's going to be the follow-up here? I'm not sure. Either way, Overlord Scout right now checks out in the main base that indeed it is going to be a Fleet Beacon. So this is going to be Turtle Toss. Pretty sure this is just going to be our beloved Protoss player sitting back and trying to max out on Skytoss units. This is the type of Protoss player I face on the ladder all day, every day. Every single game I play. All of them... Well, not every single game. There's also the occasional cannon rusher. And like every once in a while, people play Robo into Twilight or something. But I would say 9 out of 10 games for me on the ladder, it's all guys that just sit back and do nothing until they max out. It's an interesting bonus effect after buffing the Void Rays a little while ago and after nerfing Zerg late game. It made me dislike this matchup quite a bit for, I want to say, like the first 5 months of the year. And like the last 3 months of 2020. Because it's just so boring to play against. Basically, once they get up to 4 bases, in my own games at the very least, I find myself losing every single time. Now look at how aggressively Reynor is playing this, by the way. He's going +1/+1. So 1 Carapace upgrade and +1 melee. And then he's going... just a lot of Zerglings to try and deny the third base. So already, Reynor's now sitting at 75 workers. He's got a 4th base pretty much done. And Goblin is going to sit here and do a whole lot of nothing. He's going to get the Void Rays across. They have their Speedy Boy upgrade. That's something. Hey, by the way, for fellow Zerg players right now that are listening to me casting this game, What are your experiences in this matchup? Please let me know down below in the comment section. I can imagine it's probably a lot of the same that, you know, I'm coming across as well. Okay, nice little bit of counter pressure right here by Goblin. It's once again Infestors, by the way. Yeah, so eventually the third base comes up. The danger right now, Reo, for Zerg is when you push, right? You might accidentally find yourself losing everything. And historically speaking in StarCraft 2, the best adage is to, when you're ahead, try to get more ahead. And usually that involves trying to just make sure that you get another base up, right? So you see your opponent expanding, you take another expand. The problem is that in my own games, whenever I try and do that, eventually we arrive at a maxed out Protoss army and I can't stop it. So, I mean, I can every once in a while, but it's very tricky. So you can see Reynor right here, feeling confident apparently. He's going Pathogen Glance, he's going Spire, he's going Ultralisk Cavern. This guy is doing whatever he likes. He's going shopping and he's, you know, he's like a multi-millionaire, so he's just pointing at whatever he likes and then the people in the store put it in a bag, right? That's the way Reynor's playing this game right now. He's like, yes, I want Pathogen Glance. Thank you for... Oh, Ultralisk. Yes. Adrenal Glance. Give me that as well. +2. No problem. This makes me a little bit nervous. Like, I have been in this scenario as Reynor before and then, like, beautifully lost the game. And obviously, StarCraft 2 is balanced around the pro level, not around my newbie level. So, you know, it is what it is. But, right away from this position, I feel a little bit of anxiety creeping in. Because this game has been all Zerg so far. We'll see where this is going to go. It makes me nervous that he's just letting the Protoss do whatever he pleases. So double Spire here as well. Neural Parasite. Queens here already. Void Race. Ooh, get intercepted. Nice response time right there by Goblin, who's now securing a fourth. So he actually doesn't have that much static defense. Most of the Protoss players I go up against, they have like, you know, 4 times as many things. And then pushing into it is just a danger. Especially once they get Psionic Storm and whatnot, or like... this is like a recent thing. They this is Loko ranting about stuff now, okay? But recently, rather than going High Templar, a lot of Protoss players have been going Disruptors. So it's like Skytles with Disruptors. So ground armies in general are just hard. I guess that's why he's got double Spire, so he can start, you know, maybe even a greater Spire, but also double upgrades if he wants to. Just go for Corruptors as well. Either way, it's a dangerous game to play. It's very easy to accidentally lose. Yeah, I'm surprised that Reynor is giving his opponent the third base. Or sorry, like he's denying his opponent's third base like 17 times over. And now the fourth base is basically something he can get. Uncontested. Bane speed, way too late, by the way. Accidentally forgot that one, apparently. Queen's still ready to intercept all of these. Carriers are coming up. Are we at... Oh, he's already at +3? Wow. Okay, so these carriers are already at maxed damage. This is always an excellent backup plan, though, in this matchup if you're Protoss. If your early game goes a little bit shakily, try to turtle your way out of it and max out on Skytles with, you know, maybe Storm or whatever you like. So now Goblin is getting to the maxed out state. He doesn't have a supportive unit here, though. So no Disruptor and no High Templar, which I personally don't like too much. He decides to go into the Mothership instead, which... you know, is good if you control it well. It's not a unit that you can just add on the same control group as your carriers and your Tempest and stuff, because that's just going to go terribly. Reynor's still doing whatever he pleases. Not doing a whole lot of counterattack damage, because it's hard to afford doing that. He's just trying to get some work done. Alright. Oh, you know what? I wonder if I've seen the ending of this game before. So this was played, if I'm not mistaken, during DreamHack Summer. Not winter, that's ages ago. DreamHack Summer, not that I go outside, by the way. I wonder if I've seen the ending of this game. Oh my god, there's a couple of burrowed banelings. Ugh. Goblin actually spotted it there. Banelings here on the left side as well after Zerglings ended up killing it. Void Rays inside our main base. I don't know if it's this game or if it was another one. If I recognize the ending of this game, if that's the one, we'll find out here in a little bit. I'm not sure. Ay. Okay. Well, that was the most efficient, like, baneling harass you could wish for, right? Like, that was pretty good. He's just waiting right now for other probes to come on over here. Wouldn't be surprised if this is when the Great Wall for Zerg gets built. So he's got a bunch of spores already. Ultras are being transfused back up to full HP. But look at how much Reynor is respecting this. He's got a huge bank. He's got a huge eco. He can do whatever he likes. And yet he's afraid to push. Other than with like small armies and little groups of Zerglings and maybe an Ultra and Baneling or 2. Or 20. Yeah, this is still a very dangerous Protoss army. Although I wish he would add on more High Templar. He's got one High Templar here. Does he have Storm done? He does. Yeah, a couple more High Templar. I wouldn't mind that at all, especially when you have this much gas. Goblin, by the way, has now also decided to go for the dirtiest move in the Protoss book. And that is not actually making new workers, but just spending 160 supply on army. So he's now sitting at a 160 army supply Skytles-based force. He's gonna get +2 done as well, I think, before the battle happens. This is a tremendously powerful army. Zerglings and Ultras, once again. Obviously, these units aren't very good at fighting, you know, any of the Skytles, so maybe that's also why he's decided to not add on any High Templar. Banelings once more try to get some work done over here as well. Probes this time around are burrowed once again. Or sorry, Banelings are once again burrowed, but the probes are no longer there. So this is... There's no way this is going to be a Goblin win, right? If this is a Goblin win, I'm going to get salty, okay? I tried to be a very objective caster. But if... that would physically hurt. If this is going to be a Goblin win. Because after the cannon rush, he's basically just sat there and, you know... Apparently the one High Templar is used for defense. There's plenty of units here in the natural expansion. I'm a little bit concerned for this Protoss force, guys. This is such a massive Protoss army. Yeah, with the Mama ship, he doesn't even really need to go and fight this over here. He could just, you know, go around pretty easily. Zerg needs to have some sort of detection. All of the tech from the Zerg player is inside of the main and the natural, it seems. I think the infestation pit is somewhere else. Okay, there's the fungal growth. Huge fungal growth. Parasitic bombs also coming up. Neural parasite being utilized. Queens are desperately trying to walk up the ramp. A lot of damage is being done, though, but these Protoss units have a lot of hit points, so one parasitic bomb and fungal is not going to be enough. Hive is gone. Additional Vipers are coming up. These are going to be the last Vipers because you need a Hive in order to actually make one. Ultra Caverns over here. Spire went down. There's a second Spire inside of the natural expansion. Protoss, doesn't have a whole lot of mining anymore, so this is like his one, you know, his one way of winning this game. Will he capture it or will he let it slip? Mom Spaghetti. All right, there's a lot of Spore Crawlers here too. Okay. Oracle right there, using the Revelation ability. 1, 2 Void Rays. 3 Void Rays. Oh my god, Goblin, that's so sloppy. Void Rays just get, like, rallied in through the Spore Crawler somehow. It's not something we should expect at this level. Queens are trying to get some work done here, desperately transfusing each other back up to full HP. Corruptors now also trying to kill whatever they can. There's still some money in the bank, though, for Goblin to rebuild his Interceptor count. Reynor now forced to make a couple more of those Overlords. Okay. Abduction number 1. Abduction number 2. Nicely done right there by Reynor. Grabs a couple of the carriers. Parasitic bombs once again being utilized here. Void Rays forced to be split. So far, though, splits are not really that good, as a lot of the Void Rays will now take lethal damage. Oh my god, no way, Reynor! Are you actually gonna lose this game? He goes for a couple more Zerglings for some odd reason. I'm not 100% sure why we see Zerglings coming up. 45 drones ended up going down. You really need more larvae here, my man. Oh, he's lost the spire. That's why he's lost the spire. I thought maybe he wanted to make corruptors, but he can't because he doesn't have the tech for it anymore. Oh my god. So Protoss still has not got another base up, right? Yeah, this is the game that I remember. This is the game that I caught the tail end of. I don't actually remember who wins this, though. If Reynor can somehow, some way get another spire up, I think things are okay. For him. He does also need a lot of larvae, by the way. Like, there's some larvae in some of the bases, but there's really not that much. Most of this Protoss army is still ridiculously low. Mama ship. Very vulnerable, but will be forced to back off. Okay, nice shots right there with the Tempests. He still has not acquired another base. He's just long distance mining here to like remake interceptors. Spire is being built. Okay. I don't know where. Guess top left? Yeah, Spire is being built in the top left. He starts up spore crawlers over here too. Reynor's got a huge bank, but nothing to spend it on. Spires actually take a long time to build. Goblin probably wondering as well where the reinforcements are. Since they haven't shown up yet, he probably realizes that Zerg had tried to rebuild a spire. That he had 2 of them in total. I don't know if he noticed that he killed them all. Yeah, I think just putting everything in the top left-hand corner right now might not be a bad idea. Move everything. The spore crawlers, the overlords, the overseers, whatever you can. Bailing Nest will be picked off, but Reynor doesn't care about that. He's got a couple of the Zerglings and Ultras on the other side. So he's harassing the units over here. He did take another expansion there too. Okay, Spire's finishing up soon. He needs larvae. How many larvae does he have? He's just got 8. He's just spent pretty much all of his energy on building spore crawlers. Okay, parasitic bombs. Or sorry, no, what's it called? Time warp going down. Spawning pool gets picked up. So the spawning pool means that there's not going to be any more Zerglings, but also no additional spore crawlers. 10 corruptors, though, are being built. Interceptors are slowly being picked off. Those couple of spore crawlers on the low ground really helping out a ton. Goblin cannot actually afford to rebuild those spores. Or sorry, those interceptors. But the spores are being picked off one at a time. Okay, Tempest trying to get some work done. Spire seemed to be such a safe position. Will once again be killed. Reynor, though, has now got a decent amount of corruptors. He's got 18 of them, with 7 more about to spawn. Is that going to be enough for our Zerg player to win the game with? I would love to see the Zerglings going across the map once again. Dude, if I was Reynor here, I'd be so salty. You've been winning 18 minutes out of the 22. And now all of a sudden, things aren't looking so good anymore. I still think he's got this, though. Does he? Does he? This is on a razor's edge right now for Reynor. Tempests are getting in shots all the time, right? That's where they're so powerful. Spawning pool in a very questionable position can once again easily be killed. Reynor does still have some money, but no longer has a spire. You need to make a spawning pool as well to make a lair, by the way, which is probably why only just now is when we see that lair starting up again. Zerglings once more went across the map. They killed a lot of the probes. So basically no more mining here, although Goblin does have 1 High Templar. It's been smoking weed in the natural the entire time, but it's high as a kite, ready to cast storms. 1 storm on these corruptors could change the tide of battle. Okay. One of the Tempests gets picked up. It's underneath, by the way. It's here. Oh, there's the storm. Reynor dodges it. Just barely. Decides to remake the hatch in the top left. These Ultras really want to get underneath. The problem is there's no Overseer. When there's no Overseer... Yeah, he starts up a couple right now. You can't actually see the High Templar, right? Or you can't really see any of the units other than the Mama ship. Another Spire comes up. Okay. Once again, one of the Protoss capital ships gets picked off. So even though these carriers have really good upgrades, most of them do not have full interceptors, which is huge. So there's 20 interceptors available for 6 carriers. They can carry twice that much. So carrier, more like carry not. Carry a little. Ooh. Tempest goes down, but at the cost of a whole lot of those Corruptor energy, or health rather. Okay, there's the Time Warp. Time Warp does affect flying units as well. Mama ship will live. Mama ship will live. Once again, interceptors. So close. Okay, one of the Void Rays randomly derped forward. Gets killed right away. Is there enough right now for the Zerg player to overwhelm this? He's using Corrosive Bowels as well. The mothership is gone. Only a handful of interceptors actually remain. Spore Crawlers from the left helping out as well. Goblin trying to make the best of this scenario. He's got a little bit of money remaining. Reynor rebuilds 7 additional Corruptors since the Spire, which he built somewhere. I don't even know where it is. Oh, it's... I'm not blind, I promise. Yeah. He gets a couple more Corruptors out here soon. Council's the one that was building in the top left-hand corner. Just builds everything over here. Okay, Spore Crawlers making a move on over towards the base here in the top left. If they can kill, like, a couple more Interceptors, that would be huge. 2 workers remaining for Reynor, who's now also completely broke. Reynor's got 2 drones. He's making another one. Okay. One of the Tempests takes a lot of damage. Will be killed as well. Corruptors right now back off to the safety of the Spores. Couple more Interceptors die. Those couple of Zerglings and Ultras, by the way, have been absolutely huge. Spore Crawlers move down towards the low ground. One of the carriers takes critical amounts of damage, and I think that's it. I think that's enough. He's target firing down whatever he can. Even the Zerglings are here right now. A little bit of all army hotkeying right here by the world champ. But Reynor eventually wins one of the closest games of Protoss versus Zerg I've seen in a little bit. Now, okay, I know that I am obviously not completely unbiased, right? I completely understand that I'm not, because besides a caster, I'm a player, right? I ended the previous season, I think right around rank... Actually, it dropped down a little bit, but I was hovering most of the season right around rank 100 Grandmaster on the NA server. The fact that this game was so close, despite the fact that Goblin went for a failed cannon rush, lost his 3rd base 17 times, and then managed to turtle on 4 bases, it bothers me a little bit. Because, obviously, this was not perfect defense by Reynor, right? It's just that I always feel, and this is where the bias comes in, so, you know, take everything I say with a grain of salt, a little bit of my salt if you want. It always feels to me like I need to be twice the player to be able to beat maxed out Skytles. I hope you enjoyed watching this series. Let me know your thoughts on it down below. I feel like it's going to be a bit of a minefield because I think there's going to be quite a few opinions. Either way, let me know down below in the comment section what your thoughts are. For now, though, I want to thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile. And I'll see you once again in the next one.